Guys, he check out this little guy right here. He just crawled right up to me and started hanging out. Anyway, we're going to talk about casting today. Hope you like the video. Check it out. Live life. Have fun. Join me. See the outdoors. Watch me fishing. Learn to do some art. Meet my dog. Let's check out some food. Shashika. Hey everybody. Shashika here. I'm out here fishing at Encanto Park, and not much is going on. I'm not really catching any fish, so I guess I'm gonna tell you guys about casting. How to cast nice and far, and what you need, and what works best and what doesn't work so well. What I've found to work, my experiences. So I started off fishing with one of those spin cast reels. Not a spinning reel, not a bait caster. It's a spin cast. The spin casts are the ones that come with the button on the bottom, and they're easy and they're great fishing poles. I mean reels to start learning how to fish on. But there's just too many things inside of those for the wires to rub on, not the wires, the strings to rub on, and too much friction that causes you to not be able to cast as far as some of these other reels. Moving up from there, you have your bait casters. Bait casters are amazing. Get yourself a nice top dollar bait caster. I personally like Abu Garcia. They've got some real nice ones, but any one of them that's not the Walmart cheap brand will do just fine. And the more money you spend is usually the case that it's a better reel for the bait casters. Obviously the more expensive, the better the bearings, the better everything inside the reel that makes it cast for you. The better your reel is lubricated, well maintained, the cleaner it is, the better it's going to cast. Okay? You can cast pretty well, pretty far with a bait caster, and you can usually get the bait pretty far out there. But the problem with the bait caster is it's on a spinning wheel. Okay, and that spinning wheel has to roll with the fishing line to come off. You see the problem there? It's just not freely flowing. And so the next option, and one I think is one of the best options for casting, is your spinning reel. And the reason is because the spool on a spinning reel, rather than spinning this way and unwinding, is turned up. Kind of like when you buy a line of sewing line, how it's all lined up on a spool. Well, if you turn that spool up on the side and you just lift the wire, it almost comes up off that spool with no restrictions at all. it might touch the top lip of the spool as it's coming off, but not very much. I found that compared to casting with a bait caster, there's less to think about when you cast with the spinning reel. And basically you just hold the line, whip your pole, and let it go at the right angle. You know, right there somewhere in between 90 and 0, you know. Right in there somewhere. Not quite 45, I don't know. 45 seems like it's a little too high. Maybe somewhere between 30 and 45 degrees is probably the best angle for casting. Somewhere in there. Next thing I want to talk about for getting a nice far cast, trying to get that bait way out there, is the choice in fishing poles. Now, the action and the weight rating for what you're casting makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of difference. If you're trying to cast a real heavy bait on a real light rod, it's not going to work. It just won't work at all. You have to match up the pole with the weight of whatever type of bait you're trying to cast. Also, the type of bait you're casting is going to matter a lot also. If you're trying to cast a light bait, it's not going to go as far as, say, a 2 or 3 or 4 ounce bait. Okay? Those heavier baits, heavier weights, just have momentum behind them and can fly a lot farther. Okay? And obviously, with the heavier baits and heavier weights, you need a heavier fishing pole. You know, something more like a broomstick. Okay? Nice thick pole, nice and long, okay, with some good whipping action at the end. Okay? You don't want it to be like a stick. A stick's not going to get you anywhere. But like I said, if you match up the weight of your bait with the fishing pole, the action should line up as well. I like, for casting far, anything above 8 foot. 9 foot, 10 foot. Oh, amazing. I don't like to get too much longer than that, because to me, once I start casting so hard, the bait winds up breaking off. And yes, there's things you can do, adding a different type of leader, nice long leader to the end of your fishing line. And some people do what's called a shock leader. That's a heavier portion of line towards the end of their line to absorb some of that pressure. There's ways to launch your bait without casting, but we're talking about casting your bait. Yeah, I say anywhere between 8, 9, 10 foot is probably a good nice length for hand casting. The reason you want a nice long pole for hand casting anyway is the leverage. You gotta think, if you're leveraging a 5 foot pole, the end of that pole doesn't quite swing as fast. But if you got a 10 foot pole, that end of the pole is probably moving twice the speed as a 5 foot pole, meaning you can get a lot more momentum behind your bait and get it a lot farther out to the water. Anyway, if I think of anything else, I'll make a clip and add it in. Thanks for watching my video.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Now it's time for you to go out and have your own fun experience. Come back on another day to check out my next video, and as I will always say, thanks for liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. We'll see you next time. Shashika out.